trail was silent. Nothing moved except the wind through the pine trees. Then, she saw him. Standing beyond the overlook was what appeared to be a man, but impossibly large. His shoulders rose well above the 15-foot stone ledge. Long strands of tangled reddish-orange hair covered much of his face as he stood completely motionless, watching the sunset. He didn't react. He didn't run. He simply stood there. Until, moments later, he was gone. For years, she struggled to explain what she had seen. She believed giants were nothing more than myths, until that evening. Most of humanity's oldest fears are found in its oldest stories. For thousands of years, civilizations around the world have spoken of towering beings that walked among men. Most people dismiss them as myths, but what happens when people continue reporting these giants in the modern day? From the Nahanni Valley of Canada, to the mountains of North America, to the remote islands of the South Pacific, witnesses continue to describe encounters with enormous human-like beings. Tonight, we examine the eyewitness accounts behind one of humanity's oldest mysteries, the giants. The Valley of the Headless Men, one of the strangest places on Earth, lies deep within Canada's Northwest Territories. A place so isolated, so unforgiving, that even experienced explorers think twice before entering. Today, it is known as Nahanni National Park, but for generations, people knew it by another name, the Valley of the Headless Men. Long before Europeans entered this wilderness, the Dean people warned others to stay away. According to their traditions, a tribe of enormous beings known as the Naha lived within these mountains. These weren't gentle giants. Stories claimed they raided villages, attacked hunters, and beheaded anyone unfortunate enough to cross their path. Eventually, the Naha disappeared, or so the legends claimed. Then, in the early 1900s, prospectors entered the valley searching for gold. What happened next transformed an ancient legend into one of Canada's greatest mysteries. In 1908, two brothers entered Nahanni Valley hoping to strike it rich. Months passed. No one heard from them. Search parties eventually located their remains beside a river. Both men had been decapitated. Their heads were never found. At first, people blamed wild animals, or perhaps murder. But the strange discoveries continued. Years later, another prospector built a small cabin deep inside the valley. When he failed to return, investigators found the cabin burned to the ground. Inside lay his skeleton. Once again, his head was missing. Over the decades, the stories only grew stranger. Hunters disappeared. Trappers vanished. Some were never found. Others were discovered under circumstances no one could explain. By the late 1960s, dozens of people had reportedly gone missing within the region. Most investigators point to the valley's brutal wilderness. Steep cliffs, freezing rivers, bears, accidents, all perfectly reasonable explanations. Yet, among the local people, another possibility never truly disappeared. Some believe the giants never left. Legends have a way of surviving. Sometimes, because people refuse to let them die. Other times, because new witnesses continue coming forward. Nearly a century after the stories from Nahanni Valley, a man in Oregon reported seeing something that sounded remarkably familiar. The Oregon Giant. On October 23rd, former Sweet Home, Oregon City Council member James Goebel was driving along Quartzville Drive near Green Peter Reservoir. It was an ordinary afternoon. Nothing seemed unusual. Then, something caught his attention on the mountainside. At first, he believed he was looking at an unusual rock formation, but as he watched, he claimed the mountainside appeared to open, almost like a doorway. Standing within that opening was what he described as a gigantic human figure. He later said it looked as though the figure was staring directly toward him. Before he could fully process what he was seeing, the opening appeared to close. The figure was gone. James immediately recorded a video describing what had just happened. "I don't care what anybody says. Giants are real." The video spread rapidly across social media. Within days, millions of people had watched it. Some believed James had witnessed something extraordinary. Others argued he had simply mistaken a distant rock formation for a living figure. To this day, no explanation has convinced everyone. But James Goebel isn't the only modern witness who claimed to encounter something enormous. Only a year earlier, another sighting hundreds of miles away would become one of the internet's greatest mysteries. The mountain figure. In 2022, a Canadian man named Andrew Dawson uploaded a short video unlike anything he had ever shared before. While driving through Alberta, he noticed what appeared to be a gigantic human-shaped figure standing on a distant mountain ridge. The figure seemed impossibly large, far too tall to be an ordinary person. Andrew zoomed in with his phone. The footage quickly spread across the internet. Millions watched the video. Some believed it clearly showed a giant standing on the mountain. Others suggested it was nothing more than an illusion, perhaps a distant marker, a tree, or a trick of perspective. Andrew later claimed he returned to investigate. He reported seeing unusual activity in the area and said he was prevented from getting closer. Those claims only fueled more speculation online. To this day, people continue debating exactly what appeared on that mountainside. Was it simply a misunderstanding? Or did Andrew capture something that shouldn't exist? The stories don't end in North America, nearly 7,000 miles away, hidden among the dense jungles of the Solomon Islands. People have told remarkably similar stories for generations. Not of monsters, not of spirits, but of giants. Unlike many ancient legends, some islanders insist these beings are still alive today. Researchers who traveled through the region documented repeated accounts from local villagers. Many described enormous human-like beings standing between 10 and 15 feet tall. Several witnesses claimed they had long, reddish-orange hair, dark, weathered skin, broad shoulders, and incredible strength. According to local tradition, these giants avoid people whenever possible, living deep within the jungle where few humans ever travel. Some stories describe entire families. Others claim the giants communicate using whistles and strange vocal calls that echo through the forest at night. One of the most remarkable local traditions tells of a woman known as Mango. According to the story, she was taken by a family of giants and lived among them for many years before eventually escaping. Whether the story is literal history or simply an oral tradition, it has been passed down for generations. Modern witnesses have also claimed encounters. One helicopter pilot reportedly described seeing an enormous human-like figure moving through the jungle canopy below. Others have claimed they found footprints far larger than any human could make. As with every story in this documentary, none of these accounts have been scientifically verified. Yet, the descriptions remain surprisingly similar. Towering human-like figures, long reddish hair, remote wilderness, and witnesses who insist they know what they saw. Conclusion from Canada's Valley of the Headless Men, to the mountains of North America, to the remote jungles of the Solomon Islands, stories of giants continue to appear, separated by oceans, separated by thousands of years, yet often describing remarkably similar beings. Skeptics argue these encounters are nothing more than misidentifications, optical illusions, or legends passed from one generation to the next. Others believe the ancient stories may contain a grain of truth. Whatever the explanation, one fact remains. People are still reporting encounters with giants today. Could they all be mistaken? Or have humanity's oldest legends survived because someone, somewhere, is still seeing them? The world is full of stories. Some become legends, others become warnings. Whether you believe tonight's encounters or not, someone lived through them, and they were changed forever. If you've experienced something you can't explain, share your story in the comments below. Your encounter may be featured in a future investigation. Until next time, stay curious, stay alert, and remember, some things are better left beyond the UmberaVeil.